These words will either inspire a strong mind or offend a weak mind. Even if a bee could explain to a fly why honey is better than shit, the fly would not understand, because the fly is incapable of formulating the difference between honey and shit. Sadly, to our own detriment, it's the same way in many cases when trying to teach Black liberating truth to many of our own people whose minds have been dumbed down to assign our plight to a biblical fairy tale written by our most ungodliest enemies, and to those that have attached our collective condition onto a silly slave syndrome myth. Because their minds have been dumbed down to believe those childish premises, they're incapable of formulating the truth that's needed to set their minds free. Furthermore, the oppressors have brainwashed many of our people to respond angrily against any of us that attempt to teach them the Black liberating truth. But nonetheless, I'm still going to plant these seeds of truths, because we must never underestimate the power of planting seeds of truth into fertile minds. Furthermore, those of us who know the truth must teach. African proverb. A fact that has remained consistently unchanged throughout history is that oppressors never teach liberating truth to those they seek to continue oppressing, because logically to do so would be against the oppressor's objective of continually oppressing of the oppressed. Likewise, Black people will never receive a liberating education from white educational institutions. For although the white establishment publicly professes equality for all of its citizens, at its core, it is secretly unrelentingly committed to the preservation of its nation's white social dominance and white social capital over the Black population. This unrelenting commitment necessitates that the white society denies Black people from receiving liberating knowledge. In fact, to not deny Black people of liberating knowledge would be directly against the self-interest of the white society that seeks to maintain its social dominance over the Black population. Therefore, all knowledge possessing the potential of us liberating ourselves upon learning it is withheld from us throughout our entire educational development. This scenario is the hidden true reality that presently exists between the white society and the Black population. Whether it's from elementary school Black students or through PhD Black students, we're all being denied liberating information throughout our entire education development. Proof that the education provided to Black people does not emancipate our minds from white mental slavery is witnessed by the fact that we now have millions of Black people that have advanced degrees and even PhDs, yet they still use the N-word to describe themselves, and they worship the false god of our ungodly enslavers. Even though they have degrees and they have access to unlimited verifiable information through our access to the internet, they nonetheless insist on holding on to the ideology of the N-word and the Bible, although both ideologies were brutally beaten into submission within the blood-soaked minds of our enslaved ancestors by their ungodly enslavers. There is not a better reason to abandon an ideology than this scenario. Yet millions of Black people that have been educated by the white society continues to self-identify themselves by the N-word and continues to worship the false god of our ungodly oppressors. This is the case because the education we're taught by the white society is not designed to free our minds. It's designed to keep us mentally enslaved. Oppressors never provide liberating knowledge to those they seek to continually oppress. The true knowledge that sets us free comes from learning of the many hidden, nefarious social sciences that is being secretly deployed for maintaining white social dominance and white social capital over the black population. Social science is one of the branches of science devoted to the study of human behavior, specifically how people interact with each other, behave, and develops and move forward as a society. It's also used to steer and shape society in ways serving the objectives of the ruling class. These social sciences are also secretly used in ways that serves and protects the system of white supremacy. This includes being used for maintaining their social dominance and being used to facilitate their long-term oppression of the black population. Our ignorance of these social sciences provides the white oppressors with their greatest power over us. Because the only way that black people will liberate ourselves is by learning of these hidden social sciences and then developing our own counter strategies to overcome them. Again, this is why those of us who know the truth must teach African proverb. Social Science Rule 101. Public perception is not shaped based upon facts nor reality. It's actually shaped by the narratives that are repeatedly fed into a society. Those who control these narratives literally owns the interpretation of reality. The public at large function based upon their perception of reality created by the narratives that are repeatedly fed into the society. Because the oppressors controls all societal narrative, they therefore literally owns the interpretation of reality. They constantly exploit this fact by creating and deploying a perception management system that shapes the public perception in ways that serve their nefarious agendas. Perception management is a propaganda technique that involves altering the public perception of reality to suit the objective of the white ruling class. Because all societies function based upon the narratives that are repeatedly fed into the society, white social scientists determined a long time ago that by perpetually feeding false white exalting and false black racially devaluing narratives into society, they could create and sustain false assumptions within the society that greatly aids in maintaining their white social dominance over the black population. This isn't some silly conspiracy theory. This is how most societal norms are created and hardwired into a society. And it's so obvious that this is what's being done to us, is that it's only by not critically thinking that it cannot be seen. For when critically thinking, it becomes easier to see just how cartoonishly unrealistic it actually is that all information that we receive from white sources are favorable of themselves and negative about us. And it's also cartoonishly unrealistic the fact that virtually all health study results that we receive favors themselves over us. In fact, virtually all studies that makes any comparison between blacks and whites favor themselves over us. These scenarios are too unrealistic to be true. They're not. But by repetitively feeding them into our society, they shape the public perception of reality in ways that greatly aids in maintaining white social dominance over the black population. All societies function based upon the narratives that are repetitively fed into them. And the narratives that are repetitively fed into the white dominant society are distorted to keep the society functioning in ways that aids in maintaining white social dominance over the black population. This control system provides the white ruling class with a more socially acceptable way of continuing their subjugation of black people that's better suited with the changing times. For unlike the more blatant subjugation tactics used in the past for maintaining white social dominance over black people, of which black people could easily identify and unify ourselves against, and then develop counter strategies to overcome them, this subjugation system is much more sophisticated and more covert. Therefore, it's not easily recognized, nor is it easily comprehended by most of its black victims. Therefore, it allowed the white society to continue its subjugation of black people without any black resistance. The subjugation of black people always works best when the black victims no longer recognizes how it works. Your perception of reality is an elaborate white deception. You are currently and accurately perceiving reality through an elaborate illusionary truth effect created by lies that the white society have fed into your mind since birth. An illusionary truth effect is when people have been repeatedly fed false information and they then start functioning based upon the false information rather than the true reality. It's literally the real matrix. The real matrix is not a computer simulation. It's not a movie, nor does it have anything to do with a red pill. The real matrix is a whitewashed perception of reality. The white oppressors created a false version of reality that greatly empowers themselves. Think of it this way. Perception acts as a lens through which we view reality. The problem is that the lens through which we perceive reality have been distorted and warped in ways serving the system of white supremacy by the white controllers of the information and media images that shapes our perception of reality. The white society sits upon a throne of white exalting and black marginalizing lies. And as a result of this nefarious practice, the collective self-image and collective self-esteem of the white masses has been falsely bolstered at the expense of the collective self-image and collective self-esteem of the black masses. Don't be fooled. If the oppressors were truly superior, they wouldn't have to tell so many lies and distort so many facts to convey it. Nor would they have to be working this hard behind the scenes to handicap those whom they claim are inferior. Your perception is a white deception. What they've done is they've created a sophisticated way of subjugating us, and then they dumb down our minds so we can't figure out how it works. And then on top of that, they feed lots of disinformation into our communities. So now we have our people thinking we're the true Jews of a fictional Bible. We think that we're the indigenous Americans. We think that we're our own worst enemies. We think that Willie Lynch is is controlling us. So we think that Jesus is going to save us. We are drowning in disinformation that are designed to keep our minds dumbed down and distracted from learning the truth that I just revealed to you. Brothers and sisters, it's time to wake up to our reality. One love and peace.